a real man must be calm enough to not do anything crazy. Like, if you're not even in control of you, then you're not a real man. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cabin Checks. My name is Brandon Burns, and today I'm going to be going over just a few of the traits, qualities, and characteristics that I believe, in my opinion, define a quote-unquote real man, all right? Now, I know it's kind of a hot topic. I see it blowing up everywhere on social media, and it sounds kind of funny to say, right? Because masculinity, I mean, by definition, has been around since Adam. So it's not like it's a new topic, but it definitely seems like it's experiencing a little bit of a resurgence in popularity. Everywhere I go on social media, I'm seeing these proponents of masculinity trying to teach young men, trying to teach the next generation of men, really of any age, how to be the best man that they can be. And I think it's a great topic. I think it's a great thing to debate and to discuss. I do think right now it's incredibly polarizing, right? Because you've got your Andrew Tate types that are saying, well, if you don't have multiple girlfriends and fast sports cars and a bunch of money and big muscles, then you're not a real man. But then you've also got kind of your Lewis Howes types who say, hey, no, if you aren't vulnerable and if you aren't emotional and maybe even in tune with your feminine side, then you're not a real man, right? So again, I'm not necessarily here to stake my claim on either one of those sides of this argument or debate here, but I do just want to give you a little bit of insight and perspective of a few of the things that I have learned personally in my own journey as a man coming of age. There's a few things that I've learned that I feel like have really served me and really helped me. But then on the flip side of that, I've also been really blessed and privileged to be around some phenomenal people. Like, I've been able to meet billionaires, I've been able to meet some of the biggest influencers of our generation, and they all have a few things in common, and I don't think that is a coincidence. So I just want to pass on a little bit of that wisdom that I might have been a little bit privy to based on the people that I've been around, and hopefully we can all be better from it. All right. So, hey, this is for everybody, by the way. If you're a man of any age, then these are things that you can continue to work on implementing in your day-to-day lives. And then ladies, hey, send this to a man that's in your life. Send it to your boyfriend, send it to your brother, send it to your cousin, right? Send it to a man in your life, or just understand it so that when you do get into that long-term relationship with somebody or whoever that might be, then you can say, hey, here's some of the things that we might need to work on together. Like, you can help guide the process, but I digress. Couple of things, right? Number one, a real man has wisdom that he earned, and he earned it through experiences, right? A real man has earned wisdom. What does that mean? Earned wisdom means that you've probably seen a lot of the world. Now, I don't necessarily just mean that you've traveled, although that definitely helps. It helps bring you a little bit more culture, helps you understand other people more. I think it helps make you a little bit more empathetic. It helps expose you to the world a little bit. So well-traveled is definitely part of that earned wisdom. But more specifically, I'm just referring to experiences, right? A man who has never been through anything is not a good man. And he can't be a good man because, quite frankly, that's a naive man, right? A good man is somebody who has been up and he's been down. He has succeeded and he has failed at different things at some point in his life. Now, I'm not saying that if you find somebody who's failing over and over and over and over again, that's necessarily the wisest person in the room. But I am saying that I've never met somebody who I would truly categorize as wise, somebody that I would genuinely want to take counsel from, who hasn't been in a rough place in their life before. I just think that you have to go a little bit deeper into who you are, and you have to test yourself. You have to find out who you are in those moments of adversity and opposition and pain and struggle and sacrifice. You got to learn who you are and how you respond in those moments. And, hopefully you impress yourself in those moments. Hopefully you really learn what you're made of in those moments. And that gives you just a little bit of a different perspective on the world. But I've never met a good man that doesn't have some crazy stories. And again, maybe it's traveling the world. Maybe it's some crazy failure that they fought their way through. Maybe it's a near-death experience. They just did some stupid stuff for a while. Like, that still counts as long as they aren't, continuing to be super impulsive and doing dumb stuff. But I mean, some of those stories, like, that's important to know. You just discovered a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the world as you see more and more of it. So I think that a good man has to have some earned wisdom that he earned through some challenges in his life. That's the first thing. The second thing is any good man, any real man, is dangerous and formidable in some way, shape, or form. All right. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're overly aggressive. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pair this with another one. They are dangerous, yet highly stoic. Every great man that I've ever met was both dangerous and super calm. They're these guys that have this ability to observe a situation, respond unemotionally. They can analyze, they can process what's happening, and they can make logical decisions without freaking out, without losing themselves in that moment. They're super calm. They're super stoic. If you push them, hey, they're not about to be some crazy that you fly off the handlebars. They're so well in control of themselves that that's just not an issue for them. If you see these dudes that are these tough guys and they act up anytime somebody says something to them, or somebody makes a comment on their Instagram, or somebody doesn't like the way they did something, and they just boom, fly off the handlebars every single time, that's not a real man. That's not a good man. That's somebody who's not in control. And if anything, that's the definition of being weak, is you are not in control of yourself. Of all things to not be in control of, yourself is a pretty lousy one. Like, if you're not even in control of you, it's a very weak-minded man, right? So the people that I'm referring to are incredibly stoic, incredibly calm, incredibly logical under pressure. But you just know that if it came down to it, they got it. Like, they got it like that in real life, right? There's so many guys that I've met in my journey that you would have no idea, based on how humble they are, how kind they are, how nice they are to everybody, how laid back they are. But you can feel it, especially like man to man, you can feel it. You're standing in another man's presence. You can feel, okay, if something goes down, are you ready to take it all the way if it needs to? Like, if somebody was doing something with your daughter and she was in danger, would you be able to execute what was needed to be done? You can feel when somebody is or is not. You can just feel it. I can't articulate it. I can't explain it, but you can feel that in somebody else. A real man must be calm enough to not do anything crazy, but should have every bit of ability and willingness, no hesitation, if it is required. If, God forbid, there's been all of these, violent, crazy acts going on, especially in the United States over the last couple of years. If I'm just out at some coffee shop, somebody runs in there, starts shooting the place up, I don't want the man that's this big tough guy that's running around beating people up. This big tough guy that's spouting off on social media, on Twitter, he got Twitter fingers. I don't want that dude. I want the one who's calm, but he's not going to hesitate. It's lights out, right? That's the person that you want around you. So dangerous, but equally stoic. Last but not least, a real man, a good man, has values and he upholds them, right? A lot of times he chooses his own values. This is part of that earned wisdom thing. He's seen enough life, both good and bad, to have decided, here's who I want to be. In this big game of life, in the grand scheme of things, this is who I want to be. And he knows that. He knows who he is. He has an identity. He has a defined character. He's not tossed about by the waves. He's not tossed about by trends or by social media. He knows who he wants to be, and he stands on it. I say this all the time. A lot of people think that upholding your values is a decision that you have to make every single day. And unfortunately, we got a bunch of, wannabe motivational speakers out here who say stuff like that. It's a decision you got to make every day. It's not a decision that you have to make every day. It's a decision that you have to make once, if you mean it when you make that decision. Now, if you don't mean it when you say, hey, here are my values, here's who I am as a man, this is what I stand on, this is me. If you don't really mean it, then you gotta remake that decision every single time that you get tempted. You got to remake that decision every single time that something else catches your eye. You got to remake that decision every single day that you get distracted. If you really meant it the first time you said it, is one decision. And then everything from that point forward is just a simple comparison. Does this align with my values? Yes, cool, then let's go. No, okay, cut it. And that's it. It is not more complicated than that. It's not multiple decisions over time. It's one decision that you just act like you really meant it. And you do that forever, right? So that is my 3 criteria that I've picked up over the years, right? Somebody with some real earned wisdom. They've been through life. They've seen a lot of life, and they just connect to people on a different level because they've been there, done that. Wherever you are right now, they've been there, done that, or they know somebody or they've seen it and they're able to empathize because of it. They're dangerous and equally stoic. If it comes down to it, they're willing to take it there, but they really don't want to, and they can calmly process just about everything, so they know if they need to take it there or not. And last but not least, they know their values. They know who they are. They have a very, very strong identity, and they stand on it no matter what. It can't be bent. It can't be broken. You can't tempt them. You can't throw some money in their face. And that's the thing that bothers me about this generation is, like, we go on Instagram and we see somebody with a Lamborghini and we're like, oh, okay, he made some money, therefore that's a real man. It's like, no, but we take these people's advice. Like, just because they're flashy, we're going to take their advice over somebody else who might know way better but lives a modest lifestyle because we see the stuff that we want in the flashy person. But that person might go home and mistreat his wife. That person might go home and be abusive to his kids. That person might go home and cuss out his employees that work for him. That person might just be a bad person, right? But that's not a real man. Like, a real man is not somebody whose values can be compromised. But because you see him with a McLaren, because you see him with a Ferrari, now all of a sudden, that's the person that we want to follow. And I tell you this really quick before we end this video. I was backstage at one of Eric Thomas's conference, 360 ManCon in Atlanta. This was probably 2021 or so. And Jesse Itzler is a billionaire. He's a billionaire. Jesse Itzler walks back there and he complimented the relationship that ET has with his wife. Like, he saw those two interact together and he complimented that. All right, now keep in mind, there's 6,000 people in an arena just on the other side of the wall. And what he chooses to compliment is a relationship, right? Why? Because he gets it. Because he knows, hey, making a bunch of money, is it difficult? Yeah. Does it take effort? Yeah. Does it prove something about you? Yeah. But is that the epitome of a man? Is that how you should be measured? Is that how you should be judged? No. Hey, you got 6,000 people in a room? Is that difficult? Absolutely. I've worked a ton of events. I know that that's difficult, right? Does it show something about who you are? It absolutely does. But is that how you should be judged as a man? No. The content of your character is how you should be judged as a man. And when he pointed that out, I was just like, wow. So many of us, the very people that we are trying to impress, are not impressed by anything that we think they are impressed by. Let me say that one more time. Because if you're trying to impress lowlives and nobodies, then that's stupid. Like, don't try and show nobody that you're somebody. That makes no sense. So hopefully we're not trying to impress nobodies. If we're going to try and impress anybody, we should be trying to impress important, impactful people that can change the trajectory of our lives, right? But the people that we're trying to impress are not impressed by what you think they are impressed by. They're impressed by who you are as a person, not by what kind of car you drive, not by what zip code you live in, none of that. So I digress. That's just my opinion. I would love to know yours in the comment section below. Be sure to follow at @IamBBurns on all social media for more of the content that you love. And if this gave you value, be sure to share this with a friend. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode of Cabin Checks. Peace.